In this video, we're going to talk about InDesign. We're going to talk about setting up preferences. We're going to talk about a place called La La Land, and we're going to show you how to make a new document. When you first open InDesign, you'll notice this layout here. This shows all the recent things that I have currently worked on. We're going to switch out of this so we can get into La La Land, and I'll explain why in a minute. First thing we're going to do is go up under InDesign, Preferences, and General. On the PC, I believe you will find it under Edit. Either way, you could hit Command-K or Control-K on a PC to pull it up. So let's try that now. So if I hit Command-K, it will pull up the preferences. So we're going to start in General, and I'm going to turn off the Show Start Workspace when no documents are open. Leave everything else the same. Go down to Units and Increments. I'm going to switch horizontal and vertical to inches because to me those work better. I'm going to leave these. I may change this to 1 point. So I'll click in here, backspace, change it to 1. Baseline shift, I like that as 1 as well. Again, this is personal preference, and I usually set the kerning and tracking to about 10. Okay, from there we're going to go down to spelling, and I like to enable dynamic spelling. And that basically shows me at a glance if there's any spelling errors. Go down to display performance, and make sure everything is set to high quality. On the newer machines, it's perfect. If you're having problems with the machine slowing down, you could set this to typical or even fast. Notice that your images will look a little pixelated if you do so. Then we're going to go down to appearance of black, and if you're working in the graphic design industry, you should always set these to display all blacks accurately and output them accurately. And then click OK. Now notice that we're no longer in that intro screen. And I've got some panels already set up the way that I like them. To set up panels, you can just go up under Window, choose the panel you like. Let's say I want to add effects. Okay, effects will pop up. Then I can grab it and move it in with stroke or anything. If it's a solid blue like that, it will attach itself. If it's a thin blue like this, it will put itself in between. So there it is in between. We pull it out. I put it in here, it's solid blue, it'll go in there with stroke. You can pull it out and arrange the panels how you want. If you like it, Window, Workspace, and go down to Save or New Workspace. You'll create a new workspace, and every time you use it, it'll be there. The other thing I want to talk about, this is La La Land. La La Land is where you can set stuff up and it will always be the default. For example, in my character panel or up at the top, if I hit the T key, I can get that information in my ribbon. Minion Pro is not a font that I use quite often. Most of the time, I'll use Helvetica New, and I'll set it normally to Roman, maybe condensed. I use condensed a lot more, so I'm going to set that. Anything that I set in here will automatically be there when I open a new document. If I have a new document open, it only applies to that document. I'm going to set the font down to maybe 11, and I'm going to change my leading up to 15. And that just gives me some nice space. These are things that I like to start off with. If I go to my paragraph tab over here, I've got space below. I typically like that much space under a paragraph. So these are things that I've got set. Now all I have to do is I can either quit and relaunch or just leave it as is, and it will stay. I can even add, for example, I know that I use this red a lot. I can come up here and do a new color swatch. And I know I use 0, 100, 100, 0 a lot. And I use it with a particular client, so I call it Coffin Red. And I use it with Coffin Comics. So it puts it down there. Now, every document I have will have Coffin Red in it. So let's get started with a new document. File, New, Document, or Command-N. Let's always try to use the Command key. So Command-N opens a new document. Now we see across the top, it's got Saved, Print, Web, and Mobile. Typically, I work in print, and it depends on what I'm doing here. I typically turn off facing pages because I want to set those myself. but you got your width in inches. If it's not, if it says picas or points, make sure you change it over here to inches. Number of pages I'm going to use, I usually start with 1. Where I number it, do I want a primary text frame? I like to place my own text frames. We've got columns and gutters. I like to add my own columns and gutters later, but you can use this for other things. Margins, I'm going to do 0.25. If I hit tab, it automatically places it, or I can just double click on this. This unlocks it so I can put a different size here. Let's say that I need more size or more space on the left side. I need 1 inch over here. I can do that. Or if I want them all together, 0.25 tab. Okay, bleed and slug. Typically I don't use slug, but I always use bleed. 0.125 inches for bleed. That's 1/8 of an inch. That's pretty standard. Now, if you're working on a billboard, 1/8 of an inch for bleed won't cut it. And I can click preview and it will show me what I've got so far. So this is an 8.5 by 11 document. My margin is this line here. My trim, or the outer edge of the page, is here, and my bleed is here. In order to create that document, all I have to do is click create. Notice that it automatically has Helvetica. It automatically keeps that coffin red and any other thing that I set in La La Land. If I change something here, let's change this to absolute neon script. Okay, I close the document. I hit Command W. I'm not going to save it. I'm going to create a new one. Look what happened. It automatically switched back to Helvetica for me. So new document. It keeps all my previous settings. If I want to change it, I can. Click create, and here's my new document.